There's Bobby Hillin. Good look at him as he gets ready to go from 19th starting position.
We see him moving the wheel back and forth, trying to scrub all the debris off the tires so he'll be able to grip when he gets down in turn 1.
And here's the Phillips 66 Trop Harding Bojangles Ford being driven by Derry Cope, and he will be going from 24th position. You see this little air hose right here.
That hose blows air directly on Derry Cope, trying to cool him off a little bit.
Field moving into the tunnel turn now and on to the North Straightaway. Let's go to Jerry Punch with an update on Ricky Rudd.
And he was the last car to make it onto the starting grid this morning, the Tide Chevrolet, starting in 12th spot. They had an engine problem on Friday, another problem with an engine yesterday afternoon late. They changed the engine this morning. Gary Dehart and the crew working feverishly. In fact, Ricky Rudd involved with trying to get the engine put in the car. Ricky helped push the car back into the starting spot. He was somewhat out of breath. He just wiped his brow off, climbed in, and said, let's go race. But they made it on the starting grid, but not without a lot of effort from folks in that Tide crew.
And the same situation with Rusty Wallace. He also had an engine problem yesterday in the final practice. They changed that, and they are ready to go. The crowd rises to its feet as the Pace truck is off of the racetrack, and we are set to go 200 laps, 500 miles at Pocono International.
Doesn't take Earnhardt long, does it?
Boy, what a pretty sight. These cars fan out 4 or 5 wide going into turn 1, but look how quickly they'll get down into 2 wide, at least going into that turn.
We saw Sterling Marlin wave to the people behind him. Hey, I'm backing off. Here comes Mark Martin trying to take the lead and lead lap 1.
This is going into turn number 3. Mark Martin has the inside advantage on Ken Schrader, who took the lead at the drop of the green flag. But as they come off corner number 3 and down the main straightaway, it's going to be Mark Martin leading, then Schrader, Earnhardt, Strickland, Jeff Gordon, and Davey Allison.
See 3 abreast back there as Morgan Shepherd comes on the inside of Dale Jarrett, who's on the inside of Bill Elliott, and Shepherd makes a good pass. Elliott hanging pretty good up there in that second groove.
He's running a lot better on the outside than we've seen cars before. And we see Schrader is taking the lead back from Mark Martin down in turn 1.
And in fact, Earnhardt now begins to challenge Mark Martin for the second position. They go into the tunnel turn once again, turn number 2. There's Schrader, the leader of the race. But right behind is Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Gordon has moved to 4th place. Davey Allison is 5th. Earnhardt trying to get the advantage on Mark Martin. Let's see what strategy he employs coming off corner number 3 and on to the front stretch once again.
Well, we talked about those bonus points, Bob. He wants to get up there as quickly as he can and lead a lap so he can get at least 5 bonus points early in the race.
There comes Ricky Rudd with his new engine fanning down on the inside of Brett Bodine, trying to bang Ernie Irvin, Kyle Petty. And is that Bobby Hillin on the inside?
Sure looks like him, yep. Irvin and Brett Bodine side by side. Now Kyle Petty moves up alongside Brett.
And most of the time the inside groove is the preferred one. It looks like it's working for these guys as Brett got hung up on the outside in the Quaker State Ford. Lost a couple of positions. Hillin running good there in the Junior Donlevy Halleck Myers Ford.
This goes into the 3rd corner. Bank 6 degrees. Here's Earnhardt on the outside. Now, don't tell me he's going to try it on the outside, but he is.
Schrader continues to lead. He led the first 10 laps of this race from his pole position last year, but now Earnhardt does go outside, takes 2nd position away from Mark Martin.
He was able to pick up the draft of Kenny Schrader once he got out there, and the draft definitely does work down this long straightaway here on the front and move right up on his back bumper. Now he's going to try to take the lead.
And he will go to the inside coming off corner number 1 down the Long Pond straightaway, 3,055 feet in length. It's going to be enough for him, I believe, to take the lead away from Schrader. Now Martin comes up right up on his rear bumper, and yes, Earnhardt gets the lead.
Now let's see if Jeff Gordon could get a run on his teammate, Kenny Schrader. And now Davey Allison's going to try to get on the inside of Jeff Gordon. Can't quite make the pass. Well, he might be able to make the pass.
He has Jimmy Spencer back there trying to help a little bit as far as the drafting is concerned. Of course, the draft really works better down the front straightaway. So Earnhardt looks like we'll pick up 5 bonus points right here.
Here's Spencer to the inside now of Jeff Gordon and Lake Speed.
And Lake Speed going to the inside, trying to pass both those cars.
Lake started 11.
Lake was especially strong at Charlotte. Had an awfully good run.
Oh, there's a smoker.
And Rusty Wallace is on pit road. The caution comes out. The 90 car, Bobby Hillin, has experienced an engine problem or caused the caution as Rusty drives the car back into the garage area.
Wow. Now, he had an engine problem yesterday as well. Wonder if that's something that's hurting him here again.
Well, we will see what is the problem with Rusty Wallace, and we'll find out what's wrong with Bobby Hillin. But the caution flag is out for the first time here at Pocono in the Champion Sparkplug 500.
$1,000 giveaways.
The High Lake Myers Ford apparently blew an engine and has put down some oil on the track. Here are the top 5. Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Ken Schrader, Davey Allison, and Jimmy Spencer after 6 of 200 laps. And 6 through 10, Lake Speed, Ernie Irvin, Jeff Gordon, Ricky Rudd, and Kyle Petty. You saw Rusty Wallace pull off of the racetrack back into the garage area. Here's John Kernan.
Well, Bob, we're back behind Rusty's hauler, the Miller Jr. and draft crew getting ready to take a look under the hood. Rusty, you just quickly pulled it in. I know you guys had to replace an engine this morning, so what's the problem here?
We put a new engine in this morning. Everything went well. The car was running real good the first 4 or 5 laps there, and just locked up. I mean, it really locked up, too. I just shoved the clutch in and just saved it. So that's it. That's all I know.
That's Rusty Wallace, very disappointed. He was looking to get back on the winning track today. He told me earlier in the week, had so many things run into him that he was trying to demagnetize his car. So he'll go back to the shop. They'll get the car fixed to get ready to go to Michigan next week.
So Rusty Wallace, who is second in points, has an early out once again. Jerry?
Bob, Rusty told me this morning that he had just been notified he had won the first quarter balloting for the driver of the year. He said, that meant a lot to me because I beat people like Nigel Mansell and Indy 500 winner Emerson Fittipaldi. He said, I thought that might be an omen for us, but obviously it wasn't.
Well, he'll have to shake off the disappointment again here and go on to the next race.
I tell you what, it's so you can see just how easy it is to fall out of the chase for the championship. Rusty Wallace, last 4 races, did not finish.
Still under caution, cleaning up the racetrack with 6 laps completed here at Pocono. Dale Earnhardt still leads. We'll take a break and be right back. Back at the Champion Sparkplug 500 at Pocono. Rusty Wallace is back in the garage with engine problems. We continue our assembly of a race engine, wrapping up things with the cylinder heads in the final assembly.
Last week, Randy Dorton and I was doing the machine work on the bottom end to assemble the engine as we're fly cutting the piston now. Now, what's the next process, Randy?
Well, we're finishing up the final valve job here on Chevrolet's 18-degree cylinder head. You can see the intake seat being properly cut. From there, the cylinder head is going to the flow bench to measure the performance of that cylinder head.
And each cylinder head is measured against the last cylinder head. Is that how you do that?
Well, it's a performance measurement somewhat of the engine here outfit. Final assembly is being done here on the heads now. DLS titanium valves are being installed. Springs being installed in for proper seat tension.
Well, there's our block that we worked on last week. They're getting the oil. The block is clean. It's ready to assemble, correct?
Final assembly is going on now. You just seen the cam being installed in it. Main bearings have already been fitted up in it. Now you see a little bit of Valvoline oil installed there before the crankshaft is installed. Main caps are now being put in place, being torqued up for a proper spec. Checking for end float on the thrust. Now we're rolling the engine over here and kind of doing a final wipe of the cylinders themselves.
We're getting the engine ready to put the pistons and connecting rods in, right?
Right. They've already been assembled. The rods on the pistons, the rings are installed now, and the compressor's on there, and he's sliding number 1 piston in.
He locks that down around the crankshaft.
Installing the cap now and followed up by the remaining 7. Now he's properly torquing the proper stretch to those rod bolts. Front cam drive is going on now. This is a Jessel belt drive that we use to drive the camshaft.
They don't use timing chains anymore, huh?
No, this is a belt. Very good piece. Bottom end's pretty well complete here. Oil pan installed now. Fuel pump push rod going in. of course, the mechanical fuel pump that we have to run required by NASCAR.
That's right. NASCAR cars do not use the electronic fuel pump.
Right. Now the cam's being properly degreed for its proper location.
Harmonic balancer going on the crankshaft.
Fluid dampener being installed here with the front pulley drives, power steering drives, water pump being installed, water pump pulley. Here's the Weaver dry sump pump now being installed. Tappets now, Felpro head gaskets with the fully prepped cylinder heads and the final assembly of the rock arms. Feeding the intake gaskets and manifold. Now kind of the final dress of the engine, the valve covers and ignition. Now we're ready for the dyno.
And what the dyno tells you is whether you're going to use that engine or not.